Okay, now that we're done with introductions and we know a little bit about each other, let's say we go ahead and get down to business. But first, I want you to close your eyes. Most of you here have told me that you've been into a group exercise class before of some sort. I want you to close your eyes and go back into your memory bank. I want you to think about a time that you came to a class, any class, doesn't have to be an insanity class, where the instructor didn't quite seem confident about what they were doing. They either made some mistakes, the intensity level wasn't there for you, it seemed like it was their first time teaching. I want you to think about that for a second. All right? All right, now let's flip the switch. I want you to think about that time that you went to a class, whatever format it was, and the instructor was on point. They had the energy. They knew what they were doing. They pushed you to the next level. I want you to think about that for a second. All right, open up your eyes. All right, so I want you, when you leave here today, to be that second instructor that you thought about. The one that was confident, the one that was pushing you. I want you to be that instructor. Now, we got a lot of information that we're going to cover today. I don't expect you to leave here and go out and just nail it, because one of the things that I really encourage you to do is to practice, practice, practice. The best way to become a really good instructor is to practice your craft. Now, with that said, what to expect today? Again, I'm going to be throwing a lot of information out at you. Some of you, you've never taught a class before. It may be a little bit much to take in. Some of you have got the experience behind you, so it's just going to be a new twist on things that you're already doing. But we're going to talk about the Insanity Group exercise format. We're going to go into a little bit of the history of Beachbody, the parent company of Insanity, and also how Insanity was actually created. Then we're going to also talk about how it's designed. Insanity is a pre-designed format. And you need to know this as an instructor, because you don't have to recreate the wheel. The program, your rounds are given to you all ready to go. You don't have to create new exercises. Heck, you don't even have to create the music. The music is already done for you. It's a pre-designed workout, not choreographed like, say, Zumba or even size. Some of you may know size. It's not pre-choreographed. Everybody's doing something at their own pace. We're going to also talk about what max interval training is. We're going to talk about how max interval training is a challenging workout that's results driven. People are going to come to your class because they want a good workout. They want results. We're also going to talk about ways to modify, because people that come to your class may or may not be in peak condition. It's just a fact. Everybody's on a different fitness level, but Insanity Live is going to give you the opportunity to teach people on all those different levels by how we modify, and we're going to talk about that in detail. We're going to talk about the class format, but more importantly, we're going to do it. We're going to take a few minutes for you to go change over, come back into class here, and I'm going to teach a 50-minute Insanity Live class from beginning to end. Now, you may ask, why do I have to do a class at an Insanity Live instructor training course? Simply because we want you to know exactly what your participants feel during the time that they are in your class. Good example is, my wife watched me do Insanity in our living room every day for 60 days straight. Well, 30 days at this point. So I bet her $100, because she was sitting on the couch watching me do it and not actually doing it, and these words came out of her mouth that just blew me away. That looks easy. And if you've ever done Insanity, the 60-day program, you know the only thing that's easy in that program is the cool down. So I made a $100 bet with her. I said, if you can make it through the warm-up without stopping, because it looked easy when you're watching it, a whole lot different when you're doing it. I bet her $100 that she couldn't make it through that warm-up, just a warm-up. It wasn't even an exercise, it wasn't even the whole entire workout, just a warm-up. Somewhere about the second set, she looked at myself and my son and asked us, which one of y'all turned the heat up in the house? And we broke out laughing because obviously we didn't touch anything. But she did not make it. Me being kind-hearted, I didn't collect my $100. She still owed me that $100. But in any case, when we do this class format, the reason why we do it is because we want you as an instructor to know exactly what your participants are feeling in that class. Then we're going to talk about the science of insanity. We're going to get into more detail when we talk about max interval training and how it's so effective on your anaerobic and anaerobic systems. I'm one of those people, I don't like to run. I ran throughout my entire Marine Corps career for 12 years. I have a car now. I don't like to run. But I stay in good physical conditioning by doing max interval training, in particular insanity style of training. We're also going to talk about something called EPOC. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. You need to know this as an instructor because this is what makes insanity so effective at burning calories and burning body fat. So we're going to talk about that. As I mentioned before, we talked about how insanity can be modified. You have ways to progress the exercise and you have ways to regress the exercise. So when you have those people that come to your class at those different fitness levels, there are 3 different things that you can do as an instructor to help somebody that's just starting out to somebody that's at peak fitness condition. So we're going to talk about that in detail. We're also going to talk about being able to monitor exercise intensity. Not everybody is going to be wearing a heart rate monitor when they come to your class. And you need to know what kind of exertion they're putting on themselves. Now, we're going to have a scale of 1 to 10 that we're going to talk about. We're going to have a talk test that we're going to talk about. But you need to know if the people that come to your class are pushing themselves because, again, this is max interval training. This is not one of the classes that you come in and just do a little bit. You want to be able to get those people into a good sweat when they leave. Then we're going to also talk about the insanity technique. Insanity is real unique. We're going to talk about some specific things about the kinetic chain and the checkpoints. When the body moves, there are certain things you need to look at as an instructor with any exercise to make sure that that person is doing that exercise correctly and, more importantly, safely. We're going to talk about a little bit of the anatomy so that way you can look up and down the person as they're doing a move and know what to say to them, to correct them, and give them cues to get in the right position. And again, we talked about the progression and regression. There's going to be 3 different ways that we're going to be able to help them modify. And when I say progress and regress, what I'm really saying is modify. Modify that move to allow everybody to be able to do it. With all that said and done, we also want to make sure, along with the intensity, that we're being safe about it. So we're going to talk about injury prevention. As an instructor, you want to make sure that when people come in your class, they know that they're coming into a class where they're going to be safe, that they're not going to injure themselves, that they can come back and do it again. So we're going to talk about that in detail as well. Then we're going to talk about some foundational moves. As an instructor, you need to know certain moves, certain exercises are foundational moves for insanity. We're going to even talk about some signature moves in insanity as well. But when we talk about things such as planks and squats, those are real basic moves for pretty much any exercise program, and you need to know what to look for when you talk about those moves. So you need to be able to understand exactly what those foundational moves are. We're going to talk about something called cueing. Cueing can be verbal and it can be visual. We're going to make sure that you know what to say to your class participants to get them to do something specific. So for example, a verbal cue could be, if you're doing squats, is to get your butt down. Keep your chest up. A visual cue could be just what I did. Point to the chest to keep the chest up, sit the butt back. But we're going to do a lot of practical app to make sure that you understand what to say and what to do to get people to respond in the correct manner. Also, we're going to talk about the music and the videos that you get from Insanity. You heard me mention before, it's a pre-designed workout with music that goes along with it. Now the great thing again is it saves you time as an instructor. You don't have to worry about going to find music that's going to be at the right pace of the exercise that you're doing. You don't have to recreate a whole format of exercises to have an effective class. It's all going to be done for you. At the end of the day, when you leave here, I'm going to give you a DVD and I'm going to give you an audio CD that has the music for the round that we're going to be doing today. We're also going to talk about instructor benefits. As an instructor, you're going to be certified for a year, and it will expire after a year. However, if you're on Pro Team, it won't. And we're going to talk about the Pro Team in detail. If you plan on teaching Insanity anywhere or anytime in the near future, you want to make sure that you stay on Pro Team. It's a good way to stay fresh, keep your participants coming back. You don't want to come to a class. No participants, none of your people want to come to a class that's the same thing over and over and over and over again. By being on Pro Team, it just helps you to make sure that your class is nice and fresh. And with that said, do I have any questions?